right, we got some more Mafia: The Old Country gameplay. Let's get into
Sat
it.
down to play about 3 hours of Mafia: The Old Country, Hangar 13 president Nick Baines repeatedly mentioned his team's desire for players to finish this prequel story. And so with that goal in mind, the latest Mafia game turns back the clock both chronologically, it's set in the early 1900s in Sicily, and in game design as well. Mafia 3, though very good, went full open world, and the developers seemed to feel similarly about it in hindsight as players did. It just didn't fit Mafia well. The first
I don't give a man. I don't care, man. I know Mafia is more narrative driven, but I like Mafia 3. Mafia 3 was probably my favorite one. Mafia 3 was definitely my favorite game. It had my favorite cast. The game did drag a little bit because it was open world, but like I did like that game.
Gorgeous, narrative-driven, linear game set against the backdrop of a stunning and highly detailed world that, while explorable,
Mafia 1
only existed
that was
as
fire too.
A beautiful backdrop for your main mission, rather than trying to keep you busy with menial tasks and side quests. In fact, Baines seemed to suggest that the positive reception to 2020's remake of the first game, Mafia Definitive Edition, served as something of an inspiration to and North Star 4, this fourth entry in the mainline series. I'm pleased to report that after playing through chapters 3, 4, and 5 of The Old Country, the development team has seemingly succeeded in returning Mafia to its gameplay roots. This is, like Mafia 1 and 2, a story-first, not open-world action-adventure. And interestingly, your primary upgradable weapon isn't a gun, though they are certainly here, but rather your knife.
And I love that.
Stealth is fully supported, and even better, it's only going to be $50 at launch, or as I like to call it, a reverse Randy Pitchford price tag.
Ooh, 50? Oh yeah, I'm liking this game already. It's only $50? Shit, right up my alley.
When I first picked up the controller, playing on a high-end PC, which is where the footage you're seeing here came from, it's the early 1900s, and late teenager Enzo Favara has recently escaped the sulfur mines he spent his childhood laboring in and started to become his own.
Oh yeah, you know all those people died of fucking lung disease.
Man while working in the vineyard of Don Teresi, a Sicilian mafioso
not supposed to breathe in sulfur.
People and property of the region from the thieving bandits that lurk in the hills, in exchange for monthly protection payments, of course.
A pleasure, as always.
I really like how The Old Country tries to depict Enzo's progression from a very innocent kid into a bound by blood, fully vetted member of the Teresi outfit who's got the green light to do anything he thinks needs to be done for the good of the family.
Ooh. Oh, dang. I thought he was going to punch him and stab him.
Where Enzo's first taste of life outside the vineyard with the Teresis comes when he's brought along on a series of collections by Luca, the Don's right-hand man, and Cesare, another made member of the family. Luca and Cesare are essentially the mafioso version of an angel and devil on your shoulders, where Luca preaches patience and using violence only as a last resort, while Cesare is more of a shoot first and ask questions later kind of guy.
We let him act tough in front of the boy.
And then we remind him of his obligations.
For example, on our first collection stop, we visited Marco, an olive farmer. Marco always pays on time, but on this occasion, he's late. Luca gives me an unloaded gun to be used only as an intimidation tactic to get Marco to pay up.
Yours is unloaded. You give him a chance to be brave.
But Cesare told me, quote, an extra pair of hands helps jog their memory about the late payment. Side note, I think I saw more fruit in the 3 hours of playing Mafia: The Old Country than I've seen in any game ever. We might need a new Game Awards category for this. Ultimately,
not word, because fruit has been historically hard to render and render correctly as far as like how it looks and how it moves and how the light reacts to it. So whenever a developer gets the fruit right, they load mad areas of the game with the fruit so you can see it. I think there was like a story about that with Final Fantasy, I think 16, how like they got it's this area that you go through I forget what the area is called, and it just has a bunch of fruit. And they were, they were proud. The team was proud of how well they were able to render the fruit in that it was in a field. It was like on a farm.
No bullets were fired nor punches thrown, and I got the Don's money from Marco's safe after finding the combination nearby. I appreciate that Hangar 13 put thought into Enzo's journey into the Teresi crime family here and didn't just instantly let you become a murdering psychopath. Things escalated slightly on our second stop, though, after we rode our horses across the Sicilian countryside to the farm of Mr. Bangalino, whose workers, led by a man named Manuela, are on strike.
We can't have strikes around here, Manuele. You and your friends need to get back to work.
By the way, I can't emphasize how much
talking
I
heavy.
enjoyed staring at the countryside while riding to each destination on this mission. Mafia the Old Country ditches the proprietary engine it's used in all 3 previous Mafia games and moves to Unreal Engine 5 for this installment. To be fair, the previous engine was no slouch.
Yeah, the previous engine was really good.
In particular, was a strikingly good-looking game at the time it came out, and Unreal maintains the series' reputation for delivering lovely locations. The perfect blue skybox and pillowy clouds that sit atop the rolling green hills and farmlands did a great job of establishing the Old Country's Sicilian setting. I can't wait to see more of this world in the rest of the campaign. Anyway, Manuela pulled a knife, introducing me to what is, as I mentioned earlier, perhaps the weapon that Mafia the Old Country puts the most importance on. You can unlock and earn new knives, and each has unique modifying properties, giving you a reason beyond the cosmetic appearance of each blade to choose a specific one that suits your combat preferences. You've got a lot of moves in a knife fight: thrusts, slashes, parries, and dodges. Like in the Batman Arkham games, heavy attacks can't be parried and must instead be dodged. And there was still one final collection.
I was waiting to see more of that, to be honest, man, more of that knife combat, because they teased it in the trailer. And not the last video I did for this game, but one before that. So I was waiting to see more of the knife combat. That's cool. I like that.
To run in Chapter 3. And as you may have guessed by now, the cannoli hit the fan on this one. A visit to a farmer named Fichera sees him yell at us in a reversal because his new water pump was stolen by bandits, and the protection he pays Don Teresi handsomely for didn't protect his valuable property. It's finally here that the patient Luca tells Enzo that he's got free reign to put live ammo in his gun and not be afraid to pull the trigger, as these lawless bandits were effectively putting their hands in the Don's pocket by stealing from Fichera.
Pretty much.
This leads
Can't
to
have
a
that.
hunt up the hillside through 2 separate bandit camps before we finally squared off with, and shot many bullets into, the dozen or so wayward thieves that stood between us and the water pump they stole. The familiar third-person cover-based shooting gameplay will be instantly recognizable not just to Mafia series regulars, but also anyone who's played a good third-person action game in the past decade. The Old Country isn't breaking the mold here, but the gameplay systems are comfortable, effective, and fun. Less comfortable, at least for me, was the cutscene that followed the death of the last of the bandits when Cesare cuts off the face of one of the bandits, takes his gold ring as a bonus payment for his troubles, and tosses the detached digit into the well.
He didn't even have to do that to get the ring. Sheesh.
He's got no use for it now.
He's a savage.
Enzo.
What I wanted to say was, I don't know, like in the last video that I did for this, it kind of, I don't know why I'm getting, like the gameplay, I don't know why I'm getting Uncharted vibes. Like, it's just, I feel like the way the movement is set up, and you know how he aims down the reticle, the over the shoulder view. I don't know why I know there's been plenty of third person action shooters since the Uncharted series, but I don't know why this is giving me like Uncharted vibes. I really don't know why.
With all of your onboarding completed in Chapter 3, the next section of Mafia the Old Country saw one massive mission play out, involving the Don's daughter Isabella, who Enzo clearly has reciprocated feelings for.
Keep an eye on me. You'll be lucky if you can keep up.
Oh, she on that. She on that.
Son of Baron Fontanella, who's arguably an even bigger fish in the Sicilian mafioso sea than Don Teresi is. Gennaro wants to show off his fancy new car, and he also wants to woo Isabella, so he sets up a picnic date in the nearby ruins. It starts with Enzo having to babysit the gathering and ends with a kidnapping, a car chase involving you on a horse, a trail of bodies left in Enzo's wake, a stabbed, double-crossing business partner, a happy Don Teresi, and an even more smitten with Enzo, Isabella. It started quietly with
So
Gennaro
Enzo is
driving
a
Cesare and
Enzo's a unisex name for my Sicilian my Sicilian people. Let me know in the comments. Enzo is like a unisex name, because normally I see that name for men. I've never heard of a woman named Enzo.
his car to the ruins, and Isabella insisting on riding there on horseback.
Oh wait, the last name is Enzo. Wait, why he said? Hold on, let me go back, because I might be tripping.
Enzo, Isabella. Happy Don Teresi, and an even more smitten with Enzo, Isabella. It started
So
quiet.
Enzo Isabella. So is her last name Isabella or is her last name Enzo? Because normally I thought, like, just for the Japanese, you said the name backwards, but I don't know. Somebody help a brother out.
With Gennaro driving Cesare in his car to the ruins, and Isabella insisting on riding there on horseback alongside Enzo. Yes, you'll be able to choose and
Oh shit! I'm so stupid. My fault. I'm so dumb. The main but why did he say it like that though? See, now I'm stuck on this.
involving you on a horsing business. So Isabella. A happy Don Teresi, and an even more smitten with Enzo, Isabella.
Oh, and an even more smitten with Enzo, Isabella. So our guy's name is Enzo. Yeah, I don't know. I tweaked. My fault, y'all. I tweaked. Forget the last minute or so of this reaction. I tweaked. I ain't gonna lie. I might even cut that out. That was silly. That was silly of me.
It started quietly, with Gennaro driving Cesare in his car to the ruins, and Isabella insisting on riding there on horseback alongside Enzo. Yes, you'll be able to choose and ride your own horse in Mafia the Old Country, with each steed even having its own personality and characteristics. Based on what I played, it didn't necessarily seem like your choice of horse would materially affect gameplay, but it was a welcome way to add a bit of life and meaning to the narrative nevertheless.
Here we are.
A pit stop en route to the ruins showed off the camera you can take pictures of scenic spots with.
Have you ever used one of these before?
Unfortunately, it was the only opportunity I had to use it in the 3 hours I played, but hopefully you get to use it semi-regularly over the course of the campaign. You're also introduced to the driving mechanics of the Old Country after you rendezvous with Cesare and Isabella in the form of a low-stakes race around the ruins, perhaps a nod to one of Mafia 1's most infamous missions. But while Cesare and Enzo are messing around with Gennaro's car during his date with Isabella, bandits, I won't spoil their identity here, swooped in with guns blazing and kidnapped them both. They were really only after Gennaro, and having to take Isabella as well proved to be, well, you can imagine it ended up complicating things severely for the kidnappers. I got to wield a shotgun in this segment and found that it packed a satisfying punch. There was no bringing a
That's the
knife,
hunting
but
shotgun, I
like
think.
Stealth chokeouts to a gunfight here. I brought Enzo in with an itchy trigger finger. After the aforementioned chase, I was able to run down their wagon and gun down plenty of the kidnapping cadre and rescue Isabella, who rewarded Enzo with a kiss. Don't tell the Don. But while Cesare brought Isabella back home, Enzo still had to get Gennaro back, because returning without either one would leave Enzo equally dead from either father.
Yeah, he'd
It's this
be
section
fucked
that allowed
either
me
way.
to
Yeah.
really unleash my inner Sam Fisher, as it was set up for stealth rather nicely in an open area, letting me pick my path and remain undetected. If you give me a stealth option in a game, I'm gonna take it 9 times
Same.
out of 10.
Same.
And Mafia: The Old Country was no different.
Same. Like I'm a huge fan of stealth. Some of my favorite games are, as he mentioned, with Sam Fisher, the Splinter Cell series and the Metal Gear Solid series. 2 of my favorite series. I love stealth. I don't know what it is about stealth. It's just being able to sneak around and be undetected and clear out a room. I feel like that takes more skills than just running and gunning, and it's more satisfying than just running and gunning, in my opinion.
The developers later told me that they don't expect most players to make it through the entire area, which was admittedly quite large and stocked with a ton of bad guys, without alerting anyone. I took this as a personal challenge, and while I held out for quite a while, eventually I did get spotted and had to start shooting. But while you are in the Old Country's stealth segments, basic Splinter Cell rules are in effect. You crouch to make less noise, throw coins or picked up objects like bottles to distract bad guys, and can either knife them quickly or try to strangle them unconscious, which triggers a button-mashing QTE you've got to be quick about, lest they slip out of your grasp. There are even conveniently placed empty containers around that you can hide the bodies.
Amazing. I love it. That's what I was wondering too.
The Old Country doesn't break any new ground here, but in my experience, it does familiar stealth gameplay reasonably well. I do appreciate that there are upgradable bead slots on your rosary that affect gameplay, like this one that dampens the sound of your footsteps. And I appreciated those dampened footsteps until I reached the last man standing for the kidnappers, Messina, whose real story you'll learn when you play the game yourself. Enzo challenged him to a knife fight, which Messina accepted by dropping his gun and engaging Enzo on his terms.
Nah, he gangster for that. He a real nigga for that. I ain't gonna lie. Like, if you got a gun in your hand, you could just kill a man, but he'd be like, let's slash it out, or let's throw the hands. And you do it, you're a real nigga for that. You stupid, but you still a real nigga.
Enzo on his terms. I was having trouble timing my parries just right in the ensuing battle, but I kept enough blood in Enzo's body for him to emerge as the victor in the fight. Side note, I died a couple times during my 3 hours while playing on normal, but there are multiple difficulty levels to choose from if you want to ratchet things up or down. And after returning to the vineyard, Don Teresi, after hearing of Isabella's kidnapping, tells Enzo he wants Messina alive.
You put the rest of those bastards in the ground. Messina, you bring back to me alive.
Whoops. Yeah, about that. But ultimately, I did
had
good,
to kill him.
The boss said, and Isabella made her feelings quite clear with the smile on her face directed at Enzo.
Oh, they run down on the crib?
The one I got to play let me again flex my stealth muscles by tasking me with infiltrating the home of the man ultimately responsible.
Oh, you got to run in somebody's crib. Okay.
And by collateral damage extension, Isabella kidnapping and dragging him out of his house and back to my boss. Or, put another way, to kidnap the kidnapper. This mission could truly have been pulled straight from a Splinter Cell game, as I had my choice of ways up the hillside to the large villa at the top. I kept it quiet, stabbing my way through the human obstacles in front of me before eventually getting into the house and to my target. I wouldn't be so lucky on the way out, though, as by the time I walked out with my target in tow, everyone still left standing knew what was going on.
You already knew,
and I
yeah.
had to shoot my way out. As to what happened to that man I brought to the Don, well, you'll find out. I left my extended hands-on session with Mafia: The Old Country.
They probably cut all his fingers and toes off.
In roughly 3 hours, I played 3 chapters, but how many chapters are there? Whatever the number is, it didn't feel like a story that was going to be wrapped up in a tidy 6 hours. I don't know how long The Old Country ultimately is, but when factoring in the studio president's comment about wanting everyone to see the end credits roll, as well as the $50 price tag, it's safe to presume that this won't be a 40 or even 30-hour game. But
yeah,
for
please
my
no.
money, that's fine. I'm a dad with a job. I'm good with Mafia: The Old Country being a game I can get through in a weekend or two. And more importantly, I'm now quite confident I'm going to have a lot of fun playing through this one, however long it lasts.
Where like the average gamer is 30 years old, so we have jobs. We got a lot of us have families. Like we can't like y'all can't just keep expecting us to buy these 30, 40, 50, 100-hour games and to just play through a bunch of them. It's bad enough that there's a bunch. Well, not bad enough. It's good enough. Like we're blessed to have a bunch of good games out, but just be respectful of gamers' time. Like if you're gonna make it 30 hours, make it 30 hours of something that matters. Not like when you get into this repetitive loop and it's just all fluff. It's like 10 to 12 hours of actual like gameplay story being told, and then like 5 to 10 hours of fluff to get through. Like we got to stop doing that in the gaming industry. Like be respectful of gamers' time. Like for real, we got things to do.
The gameplay mechanics are all solid if familiar, with enjoyable stealth, shooting, knife combat, and driving. And perhaps the most important ingredient in a Mafia game, the story, had me engaged and eager to see where it was gonna go. It'll be good to get back to a Mafia 1 and 2 vibe again. It's been a long time. For more on Mafia: The Old Country, don't miss our exclusive gameplay from last week, as well as the official story trailer. And for everything else in the world of video games, cruise on over to IGN.
To IGN, yep. All right, let's go back. All right, so Mafia: The Old Country, we got another look at it. IGN did another preview. He was able to play about three levels, like 3 to 5 hours. He played like a couple missions. He played like 3 missions, and it's looking dope. It has some stealth elements. As I surmised in the last video, the knife is gonna play a huge role in the game. It's your primary weapon, and there are certain boss battles that you're gonna have to do that's strictly knife fighting, and I think that that's really cool. Like here we go right here, like perfect timing that it came up there. The story's looking dope. You have your love interest that you're not supposed to be with, but y'all are gonna be together anyway. And the voice acting looks dope. The graphics looks dope. I'm expecting another classic Mafia experience. You can upgrade your horse and everything and your abilities. I'm ready for this game. I'm ready for it to come out. So yeah, y'all let me know how y'all feel down in the comments. All right, so you already know the vibes. Like, comment, subscribe, all this good stuff. It's your boy JusticeXFalls, and we out.